Hello, ladies and gentlemen. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, wherever you are, whoever you are, we want to welcome you right here. So if you're half the way across the pond and across the world, if you're in the Caribbean, Africa, China, America, we are tremendously delighted to have you on one of our podcasts. You may be aware that we have been doing these things monthly. And either last year or the year before the last, we used to do them weekly. So we have chalked up quite a few podcast volumes of them. And in a little while, we're going to tell you exactly where you could find them. But as per usual, we want to start with a word of prayer. Then I'll give you some information, and then we have another rip-roaring conversation with another person who's going to download a tremendous amount of knowledge that you will benefit from. So call your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your grandmother, your grandfather, whoever who could benefit from the type of information that we normally send across the internet or the interweb. Just let them know that we are online. You can share our link with them, and they would benefit perfectly from what we have to say. So could we have a word of prayer? And as usual, if you're driving, we prefer if you keep your eyes open, your hands on the wheel. We have a herbalist in the house, but she won't be able to help you if you get in a crash. So let's just pray. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for another time of coming together on this Zoom platform, gathering around so that we can share information that will benefit people across the world. Today, we have a powerful program, and we pray that it will go directly. We are on the Facebook and the Journey Planner. We are on the internet or the interweb, thejourneyplan.co.uk. Let me just see if I can share that with you. Bear with me 1 minute. Bear with me. If not, our good technical friend in the background, he will drop it in the chat for us, because I'm not able to pull it up as quickly, and I don't want to be faffing about and wasting time. So our website is thejourneyplan.co.uk. There you will be able to see lots of information about who we are and what we do. You will also be able to see some of our recent podcasts. And of course, we are on YouTube. YouTube is dubbed the online university of information. So there you can find out all of the former recent podcasts and webinars that we have done. And you can take your time and go through them, binge watch them, and take notes if you want, because it's all free. It's all free to you. Today, we are coming to you with another powerful podcast, another powerful webinar. We have with us in the house Sister Sophia The Herbalist. Sophia, bear with me, is a friend of mine, a personal friend of mine, a sister of ours. And what could I say about Sophia? My interaction with her, Sophia is the kind of person who is just calm, cool, and collected. You never see her upset or angry, always having a fluorescent smile, always very affable person. And I want to give you a little thing. Sophia doesn't know that I'm going to share this with you. And she's so unassuming. She is really full of information and knowledge in the field that she's at. But you will see her and you will just pass her just like an ordinary person, not knowing who and what she does, but I'm going to tell you who and what she does. A little thing that occurred, and I thought it was so interesting. We happen to be in a church. We go to a similar church, the same church, and Sophia has her own nice little family, an Afro-Caribbean mix, with a lovely little daughter. And at this particular time, as children, they get all kinds of scrapes and cuts and bruises. And the child must have done something that had a cut on her. And I heard this person giving Sophie herbal advice. telling her what herbs she could put on it. And I'm there in the background thinking, who's giving the herbalist herbal advice? And Sophie was just so accommodating, so calm, so nice. She just listened and said, yes, that would be helpful, and not letting on in any way, shape, or form that she is actually the expert in herbs. So she's a very humble person. And Sophia, we are very delighted to have you again. We did have you in the past. So those of you who would like to see part 1 of what she did, please go to our archives on YouTube or even on the website and dig around, just do a search for her name and she will pop up. Please go through that. It's ram-packed, solid, with powerful information. This is going to be part 2. And if we are nice to her, if you're very nice to her, she may even come back for a part 3. So she also has a website that I am going to ask her to share later. I think it is sophiatheherbalist.com, and she's on the social media sites also. And at the end, we will ask her to dispense the information where she could be accessed. But for now, let me hand the platform over to Sophia so that she could share what she has. We're going to have a question at the end. And today we're going to talk about herbs. Some people say herbs. Some people say herbs. Sophia will give us the correct pronunciation of the word. And the topic for today, I think, Sophia, is God's remedies for
every ailment.
For every ailment.
Yeah.
God's remedy. What a powerful title. God's remedies for every ailment. I'll be taking notes. And of course, if you're going to be distracted and if you're on the road, you don't have to take notes. This is going to be recorded and is streaming live on YouTube. Sophia, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for such a lovely introduction. I actually don't remember that story that you said. But at the time, I'm sure I was probably thinking, I love when people have knowledge and they use it and then they share it with people. That's what I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about sharing and educating and teaching. And I do believe that though I'm a herbalist and you can call me an expert in the field, I do believe we should all be herbalists in our home.
Okay.
So I was probably delighted that that person was sharing that stuff with me because it does make me happy. So yeah, it's a lovely little story though.
Yes, that's quite humble of you.
Oh, bless you. But yeah, so today, like Hilton shared, I'm going to be speaking about God's remedy for every ailment. So I'm a medical herbalist and I treat people with herbs with a variety of illnesses and diseases or ailments. And I'm very into herbs. I'm very passionate about them. I do believe that God has truly given them to us as a gift to help to heal us from a lot of our sufferings and our afflictions. Yeah, go ahead, Hilton.
Yeah, a question just simply popped into my head. And I don't know if I should wait till the end or just kind of shoot it inside there because I don't want to stop your flow. The term medical herbalist, because it's intriguing to me, because normally we hear a medical doctor and then we hear herbalist. Sometimes we don't hear them together. So I wanted to know if you would throw some light on it as you.
Yeah, sure. So, so in the UK at least, it's really different for every country. But in the UK, the profession herbalism, it isn't what we call statutory regulated. So something like a nurse or a doctor or an osteopath. These things are statutory regulated. You can't just pop up and say, I'm a nurse and be employed by your local hospital. In no way, shape or form can you do that. Herbalism herbalism, it isn't statutory regulated. So anybody can actually call themselves a herbalist. They can, they can get herbs, they can open up, say, a practice and treat people because it isn't regulated by, I guess, the government. But so the term medical herbalism was introduced by, I guess, a group of people that wanted to protect the profession.
Okay.
We don't want anybody to say, yeah, this herb is good if they don't know what it is about and treat people.
Yeah, that's
Harm them. So to become a medical herbalist or a qualified medical herbalist, you do training. You have to go to university and get a degree or diploma, and then you're able to register with one of the professional governing bodies in the UK. And then I guess you have the title medical herbalist.
Okay, all right.
Not every, like, if you are registered and you're with a governing body, then I guess that the term medical herbalist, that's where it comes from.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, I tend to use that word all the time, but yeah, I haven't, you make a good point that not everybody kind of uses that term. Yeah, and I guess the training that I had as well, similar to what a GP would do, you learn how to do like physical examinations and diagnose and things like that. So I guess that's where the term comes from as well. Yeah, hope that helps. Hope that's clear.
Yeah, it does help. It does give a lot of bit of clarity. And now please feel free to take it away. I'm not going to interject or disrupt or anything until the
Feel free to ask questions, especially if you don't understand something that I said. But yes, I spoke about herbs. I spoke about how passionate I am about herbs. But I do believe that God has given us an even greater gift before herbal medicine. And it's one that deals with the whole man, one that deals with a multitude of problems, not just one specific problem. And that is his health law. And this is probably something that everyone has heard time and time again, God's 8 health laws. But it's something that, especially in the last couple of years, I've been really passionate about. Oftentimes when we get sick, the first thought is, okay, what herb can I take? Or what medicine can I take? Or, what supplement do I need to get? And those things are good within themselves. They're helpful. We've been given them as gifts. But I'm trying to retrain my mind, and I want to share it with others and implore others to do the same. The first thought you should have is, which one of the natural health laws have I broken? Or which one have I not paid attention to? Because more often than not, it's going to be at least one of them. And the last few times I've been sick, I've asked myself that simple question. And, am I keeping each health law? And
you actually get sick.
Oh yes, definitely. I'm human. I'm more than human. I do get sick, and I do ask myself, which one am I not keeping? And oftentimes it's at least one, often more, that I've been neglecting. And it could be hydration, movement, sleep, or common fresh air. And if you think about a pyramid of health, the base of the pyramid is the most important, right? That's the foundation. And if you think about the health laws, these make up the base. So if these are neglected, then whatever you do on top, whether it's supplements, herbs, and special kind of treatments, they can only do so much. They're not as useful in keeping us healthy and preventing sickness than the basics, the foundations. And even though we've heard them time and time again, I think there's a phrase that I can't quite remember, but when you become really familiar with something and it becomes really commonplace, you tend to take it for granted and you kind of forget about it and put it to the back. But I've been convicted lately that it's the most important thing. And oftentimes, even us who are conscious about health, we really neglect it. And many diseases that we suffer from, or ailments, would get better. Most, maybe, if not fully better, at least a lot better, if we would go back to the basics and keep those health laws. So that's what I wanted to focus on today. I'm going to show you a remedy after. And I wanted to focus on those health laws in the light of allergies or hay fever or allergic rhinitis, because this is the time of year, especially in the UK anyway, that people start suffering. And if you are a sufferer of hay fever, it's horrible. It does ruin the summer. So I really want to focus on each health law and show how it links directly to our immune system and how our immune systems react to the pollen and other allergies as well. So I'm going to show you a practical remedy later with some herbs, but I want to go through these things first and show you that health doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes herbs and supplements, they do add up in price, but I don't believe God would make health very complicated or impossible or even restricted to some people that can afford it. He's going to make it very accessible, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Just give me a second. Okay, so we're going to look at the health laws, the ones that we all know, we've seen time and time again. And we'll start with the first one. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we are able to see trusting God. Why trusting God is so important.
Exactly. So I do believe that this is the most important, and I'll share with you why. So the mind and the body are intricately connected. Whatever affects the mind will affect the body, and vice versa. If you're suffering from a certain disease, it can affect how clear, your clarity of thought and whatnot. So the human mind and the human body are intricately connected. If we are suffering from things like fear, worry, stress, everything that God tells us not to succumb to, it has a certain effect on the human body. And I'm going to show you that in the next slide. And I'm not saying that we're never going to feel any fear, or, we might lose our job and we'll never feel worry. We will all experience these emotions because we're human beings and we do have feelings. However, what I'm more referring to is not succumbing to these emotions. So not being overcome by fear, not being overcome by anxiety and stress and worry. This is very different to just experiencing the emotion and knowing that it's a passing thing. When we succumb to it, that's when it becomes chronic, and that's when it becomes a stress on our bodies. So stress can come in many forms. And oftentimes it starts in the mind, and I'm speaking about chronic stress, not the quick stress that I just spoke about, but the chronic one that's ongoing and that you succumb to. So when you experience stress, no matter what stress it is, the same reaction happens in the human body. So your chemicals start being released. There's a lot of stress hormones that start to be released, like cortisol and things like adrenaline or noradrenaline. And these basically tell your body to go into a mode that we call fight and flight. And fight or flight it's fine if it's something that's short-lived, like if you're about to run a marathon, or you might be going to take your driving test. It can get you a little bit stressed, but it causes you to have like energy, focus, concentration, be on high alert. And these things can be good for a short space of time. But when we're worrying about things like, I guess, maybe money or where we're going to live, or things that we should really give to God, this is when the stress hormones start to do more damage than good. And things can start happening in the body, like chronic inflammation. These stress hormones start to suppress your protective immune cells, and the immune system starts to become dysregulated. And that's when things like allergies and autoimmune disorders can start to pop up or to get worse. So I'm always going to relate it back to my own, example. But when I am feeling stressed, and people that I've seen in the clinics, or when patients come to see me, when they are under stress, that's when I usually see them coming back to me, or coming back with a flare-up of whatever disease they may have. So it could be a skin condition, it could be asthma, menopause, anything. Every ailment that I see in the clinic, people tend to get a flare-up, or it gets worse when they are under stress. And that's because your immune system is greatly affected, and your whole body is greatly affected, and that's when these diseases will get worse. So this is why trusting in God, and I say trusting in God, but not just a kind of a mere saying that we trust in God, but truly knowing that everything that we're going through, no matter what it is, God can see it. He sees it. He knows that we're going through it, and he has the remedy for it. He's able to take us out of that situation. He's able to take us through it. That we're not left alone in this world to be overcome by Satan's, I guess, his tactics. That God has the remedy, and he's allowing us to go through something that will ultimately refine our characters and help us to have a deeper trust in him. So that's why I do believe trusting in God is the main one, because stress is one of the number one killers actually today. When you think about going back to the pandemic that we had a few years ago, it's 5 years ago now, but a lot of people, I believe, were succumbing to illness because in their minds they were stressed. A lot of people were at home. They watched the news 24/7. The news caused a lot of stress and anxiety for people, especially if it was on 24/7 and they were just hearing negative and numbers going up of people dying. Whether they knew it or not, they were overcome by anxiety and fear and stress. And that had a negative impact on their immune system. And no doubt that was one of the reasons why some people were getting sick. If your mind is not right, then your body will follow. So ultimately, we do have to give these fears and anxieties to God. So I hope that one's clear and that makes sense. The next one, fresh open air. Who's ever heard, well, I say who's ever heard, I don't know if anybody's watching this live, but there's something called forest bathing. This term forest bathing has become very kind of trendy and popular now, but it is just a kind of fancy term for being out in the open air with nature, in the forest, somewhere where there's loads of trees and biodiversity. And this is something that I think we often neglect because one, we're very busy and we don't make going outside in nature a priority. We just don't. Things take priority over that. And we oftentimes, especially, well, not everybody, but we don't like to go out unless the weather's really good. So we might go out only in the summer. And in the UK, the summer can be it can be confined to maybe 1 month. So that's, I guess, some of our downfall. We need to learn to go out, no matter what the weather, get some good gear, some clothing that's going to keep you warm and dry, and let's learn to get outside more. Forest bathing has become really popular. There's a lot of research that has been done, and the science is actually showing the benefits of being outside in nature. So there's something, as well as seeing all the green and taking in the fresh air, there's actually something in these environments. So they're airborne compounds, they're emitted by nature. So things like trees, like say pine trees, they emit essential oils and they emit some volatile organic compounds. So we call them VOCs. VOCs, volatile organic compounds, they can be good, they can be bad. Bad ones, you usually would get them in things like paint and aerosols and perfumes and, like these kind of unnatural cleaning products. And volatile organic compounds just mean a compound that's easily evaporated at low temperatures. And they're usually things that you can smell quite strongly. So you can smell paint and ink and those kind of things. And they emit toxins and they're quite harmful for our bodies. But there's something called biological volatile organic compounds, which are the good ones. And they come from like things like trees and plants and above ground vegetation and below ground vegetation and oceans and waters. And they're released, and when we inhale them as humans, they provide positive effects on the immune system. So a lot of studies are showing that they actually can increase your immune response and decrease inflammation, help to regulate your immune system, help you to overcome things like viruses and colds. So this is like a free medicine. Going outside in the forest or in like nature where there's a lot of plants around, though you might not feel it, it might just seem pretty simple, but trying to do it daily, even if it's just for 15-20 minutes on your lunch break,
Wow.
after dinner, it can be so beneficial for your immune system. And the studies actually show that the positive effect on the immune system lasts a number of weeks actually. So
Wow.
you'll get like accumulative benefits from going outside daily. Were you going to say something, Hilton?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're really hitting some very powerful blows here, particularly with our emphasis of getting out of the city into the country.
Mm.
Um, and I know I should really wait till the end before I ask these questions. This forest bathing and getting out. What about people who work in urban and city areas?
Mm.
You know, what recommendations would you give? Of course, this is a question that may throw you off from what you have prepared, but
It's fine because it is a real question. I think what I want this presentation to be, if anything, is practical.
yeah.
How can everybody use it? And it would be harder living in like an urban and city area. I do know that in a lot of cities, I'm thinking about London, that's where I'm originally from, and there are even people that work in central London, there are like parks, often in walking distance from people's workplaces. There are parks that you can go to, um, even like, for half an hour or after work for, half an hour before you get on the tube home. There are places that people can go to. But even if you do work in the city and you can't get out every day in some nature, in good, forest nature, I do recommend even on one day at the weekend, go into a forest. And there are always forests within reach of cities. If you're in
Yeah.
London, there's Epping Forest, there's I said always, but Epping Forest is one that's come to mind, and that's a really good one. But there are lots of kind of parks and forests and woodland around that you should definitely just try. If you can't go every day, don't beat yourself up. Don't get stressed about it because remember, stress is don't worry about it. But just go as often as you can, or what I'd say more often than you go now. That will
Yeah.
be a benefit. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. If you don't go every day, then you can spend a longer time at the weekend, making the trip. So that's the benefit of fresh open air. We've probably always heard that fresh open air is good, but hopefully this nugget of information about the VOCs,
Yeah.
will encourage you to go out and breathe deeply when you're out in the forest and nature and inhale those good stuff.
I'll definitely get my wife watch this part of it because I've
Oh,
been
good.
encouraging her to come for walks with me.
Yeah, no, it is. It's hard sometimes to get out at first, especially when the weather's really poor, but you never regret. I've never regret going outside, even when I didn't want to. Okay, so the next one is exercise. So physical exercise, it helps reduce inflammation. There's a lot of studies that are finding that. And allergies and hay fever, it's really an inflammatory disease. It's an immune response to whatever allergen it would be, and it causes inflammation. It causes inflammation in the nose, in the mucous membranes, and that's where you have like swelling of the sinuses and the eyes and itchy throat and all of these symptoms. It's all inflammation, and exercise actually provides chemicals that help to combat inflammation, which is good. So we should always kind of get out. Even going for a walk, a brisk walk is good, but movement is even better when you can anything that gets your heart rate increased and your breathing rate increased, or even sweating is even better because you're releasing toxins, you're helping to detoxify the body, and taking the burden off your other systems, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Your skin is a great detoxifying system. If we don't sweat and we clog our skin and don't allow it to do its part in detoxification, it's only going to put a burden on the other systems of the body. So being able to sweat, move, and get your body moving, that's always going to be beneficial for your immune system. Another reason why exercise is good is something called a lymphatic system. You may or may not have heard of it, or might have heard of it, but you don't know exactly what it is. But we have the circulatory system of the body that everybody knows is the blood circulation. So, it's a network of blood vessels and capillaries, and your heart actually pumps around, push that blood all around the body, right? So everybody knows about that system. But there's another system called the lymphatic system that is, again, a similar network of like tubes and things, and like kind of not blood vessels, but it's similar to the circulatory system, and it has little nodes at various points, and this is actually a part of your immune system. It has a number of immune cells. It helps to take away waste from the tissues, and it collects allergens and things that would, I guess, need to be gone from our bodies. And it helped to take it out of the system. However, this system doesn't have a heart to pump it. It doesn't have anything to pump it around and keep it going. But the way in which it moves and it keeps a good flow is by stimulation of your muscles. So when you move and you exercise and you walk and you run, the muscles contract, right? And these muscles start to push that lymphatic fluid through the system. So if you don't move, then your lymphatic becomes quite stagnant because it doesn't have a pump. It works only by exercise and movement. So by you moving, you're helping to increase and improve the flow of that lymphatic system, and then you're helping your body to get rid of waste and to nourish the cells with, you know, better clean fluid. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's, again, I know we all know exercise is important. We don't always prioritize it. I can include myself, but hopefully that nugget of information can make you think, you know what, even though I might not be able to get out, let me just do a little bit of running on the spot, or do some, you know, gentle exercise at home, just at least move my body. Sometimes some of us as well can be kind of not cheat. We don't cheat, but for example, me myself at home, I look after my daughter full time, and from the time I get up, there's never a time really where I'm sitting down. I'm always up and down, whether it's cleaning, tending to my daughter, cooking, laundry. I'm always up and down the stairs and doing things. And sometimes I can kind of say to myself, yeah, I've been moving all day, I've done exercise. But actually, again, we want the exercise that kind of increases your heart rate, helping you to breathe heavier, and sweating is also a bonus. So that's the kind of exercise we want, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day. So that's exercise. Sunlight. So yeah, sunlight is a bit of a controversial one because we live in the UK and we don't get much sun. We're not always promised a good summer. But it's very important to get as much sunlight as you can when the sun is outdoors. Prioritize it, even if it's for 15 minutes before you begin work. Sit in the sunshine, and expose your body, your skin to the sun. Or if it's after work or at your lunch break. Even in I guess the winter sun, it's not as strong and it doesn't necessarily always produce vitamin D in your body, but it's still important to get that sun too. It's very important in the regulation of your immune system. There was like during the pandemic, I know, I keep referring to the pandemic, but during the pandemic, there was a lot of what's that word, like studies coming out showing how vitamin D was actually helping people overcome their sickness and overcome their ailments, you know, with the virus. So vitamin D is not just something that helps us to have strong bones, is kind of what we've grown up thinking. It's actually a major part of an important it's a major part of the healthy functioning of the immune system. So a lack of vitamin D can definitely impact how we suffer from allergies and hay fever. So I do think having a supplementation is necessary, especially if you live in the UK. However, it doesn't replace sunlight, because I do think there's so many other things that the sun does for us and does for our well-being that can in turn affect our immune system. So definitely getting out in the sun when you can. Rest and sleep. So this is one of the I think this is a serial offender when it comes to health, because a lot of us, some way, shape, or form, we're not getting the rest of sleep that we need. A lack of sleep has definitely been tied to allergies. There's so many studies on it. Did you have a question, Hilton?
Yeah, rest and sleep, as if they are separate and distinct, or are they the same? Can you help us with that?
Yeah, well, I put it there as like a because I guess sometimes we all know that the acronym and the health laws, and we see it as rest. Um,
Mm,
but sleep as well. Rest, as in our bodies need to rest from being on the go constantly. But most importantly, sleep. We do tend to abuse that one. We tend to sit on our phones at night in our bed. So
true.
resting, we're resting from our day's work, but we're not getting that sleep. And when this is something that I struggle with myself because I guess we live in a digital age. But when the sun starts going down and it becomes evening, your body starts to make a chemical called melatonin. And that melatonin is what helps us to feel sleepy and helps us to have a good night's sleep. However, if we get exposed to blue light, like from the TV, the computer, the phone, tablets, it actually disrupts that production of melatonin in the body. And then you don't maybe fall asleep as easy. You might fall asleep as well, but then you don't have a restorative sleep, a deep, good quality sleep because of that interruption in the melatonin production. So these are some things that I guess we take for granted and we just do by default. But having good quality sleep, if you do suffer from allergies and hay fever and things like that, sleep is something that can improve your symptoms 100%. Like I don't uh, if you have poor sleep, that is poor sleep hygiene, if you get that on track, you will see that your symptoms do improve, if not go, but definitely improve at least. Um, so it can increase the likelihood and severity of allergic reactions. And I can tell you an example for myself. I have a dust allergy and it shows up as asthma. I've always been asthmatic from like a baby, but it's never really bothered me my whole life until a year ago or 2 years ago now, not long after I had my baby. And I started to have quite bad like asthma symptoms and really like allergic to dust. But I did notice that after I had my baby, I wasn't sleeping very well. And even when my baby would go to sleep, I would stay up and try to get all the things done that I wasn't able to do during the day because she wasn't really a daytime napper. So I did see the link of me not sleeping well and my allergies becoming worse. And to the point that one day I had to use an asthma pump. And even if I might have like a stressful week and I'm staying up late trying to get some things done, I do notice it quickly in my lungs. I'm more wheezy and coughing more. And that's just my personal experience. I will always speak from personal experience and I guess experience of patients as well. But lack of sleep and not getting the rest that you need, even if you don't feel tired and you're functioning during the day, it would definitely have an impact on your immune system and thus allergies. So if you do suffer from bad sleep, like you have insomnia or you go to bed at night and you don't feel tired, going out in the daytime, a lot of these health laws, they're intricately linked. So going out in the daytime and getting that daylight exposure, it helps to reset your circadian rhythm. So having that daytime light does something to your body where I guess it starts to give you back a good routine. So at night time, your body starts responding to that dark, avoiding the blue light after 8 p.m. If you can, you will start to get into a good routine. Herbs can also help you to sleep. Things like lavender, passion flower, chamomile, having those from early evening, a good strong tea of those kind of herbs can help to start restoring your sleep patterns. And something that I really like is Montmorency cherries, like the sour cherry. It often comes in a supplement, and the supplement that I have at home is called Cherry Active. There are other brands, but the one that I use is called Cherry Active, and they are actually a natural source of melatonin. So taking that about an hour or half an hour before bed can really give you some good restorative sleep. You will wake up feeling like you've slept better and longer. That's just some tips for sleep. I'm just having a time check. Okay. So I want to get through this quickly. I want to show you the remedy for the hay fever. Hydration. Hydration is important. Every system in the body uses water, and without enough water, then your systems are definitely going to be at a loss. Water is like one of the most simple things that you could do. It's easy. We all have access to good drinking water. However, we don't do it. And I can speak for myself. I can speak for all the people around me. You know, I say, have you drank enough water today? And often the answer is no. And it baffles me because it's so easy to pick up some water and drink it. But it's one of the hardest things that we find to do. Again, if you are dehydrated and you suffer from allergies, you're not doing yourself any favors because you're going to feel worse and worse. Dehydration equals more histamine. Histamine is like your body's pro-inflammatory. So it will increase the severity of your allergies if you're dehydrated. A good tip is to, upon waking, get like a jar, something like this, and fill it and drink that as you get ready. So whether you're leaving the house or not, drink that as you get ready, because then at least you've started the day good. You started it well and you've had a good amount of water, then it can be easy for you to follow having water throughout your day. Whereas if you don't start with water, you kind of start as you mean to go on. So I do recommend starting the day with a jar of water. It really always helps me. Invest in a good water bottle as well, one that I know it sounds kind of petty, but one that you like, one that looks nice, one that you want to take everywhere with you, that encourages you to drink, and try and have access to some good filtered water too. Did you have a question or a comment, Hilton?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about water, which is one I struggle with too. What if you don't feel thirsty? Or if you drink the water and it fills you up uncomfortably?
So I always say, because that's the question I get a lot. And another one is, what if it keeps making you go to the toilet? And I always say that it will probably do that initially in the beginning, especially if you're someone that doesn't drink water. And you will have to start to tell your body that it's thirsty. Rather than your body telling you that it's thirsty, you have to start to tell your body that I just need water. It can help to set like an alarm on your phone for every 10 minutes and just take a sip. Sometimes we forget we haven't drunk water for a whole day and we gulp a big load down. You're definitely going to go to the toilet. You're definitely going to make feel bloated or uncomfortable. Take sips every 5 to 10 minutes, just a small sip.
Okay.
And actually, if you feel really thirsty, that's a sign that you're already dehydrated. So even the feeling of thirst, we shouldn't get used to it and depend on that for, I need to drink water because I'm feeling thirsty. We've got to train our bodies just to drink the water and make it become a habit. And then when it does become a habit, you would actually feel quite rubbish without it. So you would tend to want to drink it anyway. So and sometimes what I find, I don't tell everybody this, but because some people just don't drink water anyway, they just need to increase their water intake. But if you do drink a lot and you still don't necessarily feel hydrated, or you're peeing the water out a lot, I would say add a little bit of Celtic sea salt, just like a crystal of it, put it under your tongue, let it dissolve and drink your water, because that can actually help to increase the you being hydrated. They have electrolytes in there, and sometimes that's what will help you to feel more hydrated or have the health benefits of the water. So that's a good tip as well. Food and nutrition. So I won't bang on about food and nutrition. We have like health advice kind of banged on our door all day, every day. The world is so small and there's so many facts on the internet. But the main things I will say is eat more greens and vegetables. So eat more fresh foods, eat more good fats, eat nuts, seeds, avocados, eat more seasonally. That's one thing that I'm starting to incorporate more. Eating seasonally means that you're eating things that are, I guess, in season. The majority of your diet is things that are in season currently, because oftentimes those things are going to be more local to you. Those things are going to have been grown, so their nutritional value is going to be great. I know in the UK that can sometimes be a bit boring, but making the majority of your diet seasonal, local things, you definitely get more out of it than you would do if you're just having everything all year round. Obviously, there are exceptions like avocados. I mean, avocados don't even grow in the UK anyway, but I have avocados all year round because these are good fats. But you know, in the winter, I've had a lot of our diet in the house have been root veg, potatoes, leeks, parsnips, kale. I'm thinking of squash, things that are grown more local and they're in season. So eating those things, you'll definitely start to feel the benefits from it. Eat a variety of foods. We tend to get in kind of patterns of eating the same things over and over again. But our bodies, our guts actually house millions of bacteria, and those bacteria actually help with our immune system and thus allergies, and they respond well to a wide variety of foods. So having a variety of foods with lots of different nutrients and fibers and all these things, it actually treats our microbiome, the gut bacteria, very well, and it responds positively to this and can thus help our immune system. Eat less packaged foods and less processed foods, and eat foods that are rich in vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and selenium, because these are the things that are going to support your immune system and give us benefits there. And lastly, temperance. So I don't need to say much on this, but one thing I would say is when we think of temperance, we often think of food, like being temperate in how much we eat and what we eat, but temperance in everything, all the things we've spoken about, temperance in how much we work, that we're not working, you know, unsustainably into the early hours of the morning, temperate in how much we, I guess, I said exercise is good, but temperance in how much we exercise, not to kill and overwork our bodies. So temperance in all things, that's what will be beneficial to us. And another thing I think about when I think of temperance is to allow our bodies to be subject to our minds. So, for example, it's not bad to have like a treat and to make a dessert or have some dessert, some, you know, things that contain good sugars, like from time to time. So if you're feeling like you want some dessert, it's fine to have. If you start feeling like you want dessert every day for most meals and have, you know, you're craving sugar all the time, that's when you have to tell your mind has to tell your body, actually, no, that's not good. So that's what I mean by your body being subject to your mind. I think that's what temperance is. It's being able to make decisions based upon principle rather than feeling. And that's what will help you to be balanced and temperate in all things. So that was my speedy one through the health laws. And I hope that you've seen them in a new light. You've seen them connected to an illness and how it was connected to allergies. You can replace that with any ailment. If you are sick, you're suffering from something and you've been going to the doctors and they can't help you, they say that your blood tests are normal, go to the health laws and see which one you could be keeping better, or what if you're not keeping one at all. And I guarantee you will find some relief. You might not be completely healed, you may be, but you would definitely find some relief if you just stop stressing about your illness and focus on those health laws. Did you have any points to make, Hilton, before I...
Well, nothing I could add to what you're saying. Very wonderful. As you were going along, I must comment that your slides are very effective, simple but very effective. I like them. If you don't mind me exploring some of the things, I want to go back to that sleep and rest kind of thing, because that's another thing that we need to work on in our homes, myself and my wife, because I'm a little bit of a morning person and she's more like a night owl. She comes alive in the night. And then I find myself going to sleep later and later. And now I am really in a bad shape. Now, is rest, I know rest, how must I put it? Is rest slightly different from exercise, or can we rest to supplement, not exercise, to sleep? Can we rest to supplement our sleep? Kind of. And what is rest as distinct and different from sleep?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I do think they're different, even though when you're sleeping, you are resting.
Yes, so sleep is a type of rest.
Type of rest. But with rest, I believe it's a physical and a mental thing. We could be finished work, we sit down on the sofa, maybe we rest. But if our minds are constantly going, we're thinking about what we have to do tomorrow or our minds are going, then we're not at rest. Because remember, I said the mind and the body are connected. The body's going to follow the mind. So if you're constantly kind of on alert, thinking about planning what you're going to do, then your body's not at rest. So rest is definitely a mindset thing as well. Sometimes I tell people rest is even going for a walk and enjoying nature. That is rest, even though your body is not physically resting, just strolling through nature and enjoying the scenery and do something that you like. That is rest. Some people like watercolor painting, some people like drawing, some people like reading. Do you know what I mean?
Some kind of recreation or something.
Yeah, definitely. So I do believe that's a type of rest, and that's what I encourage people to do as well. But it is different from sleep. When your body goes to sleep, that's when certain things start happening in the body, certain things start happening to your immune system. That's where you consolidate a lot of your learning and memory. So even though I do tell people when they're suffering from like insomnia, even though you can't sleep, still go and lay in the dark and just maybe listen to some gentle music, do some deep breathing. I don't encourage people just to stay up until you feel tired, because that would never be good.
Productive.
So do still rest and act like you're in a state of sleep and deep breathe, but you really want to get to the point where you're actually falling asleep. You're unconscious from the world, you're sleeping, and you wake up feeling refreshed, that you've had enough sleep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that point, and that's I came across this concept of what the Spanish or Middle Eastern or Eastern people do of having a siesta during the day. And I tried it once, and one phase of my life I used to take, maybe like the Japanese cat naps, or and I felt that I felt different. It did really boost me. But now I need to get back into the habit of not only just resting and having some recreation, but also sleeping, getting and it begs the question, although we have heard it, how much sleep is required?
Yeah, this is such a controversial topic now, because like some people, I know there's like things going around that some people are okay on 4 hours sleep. I'm not like a sleep expert, but I think we should always speak to the majority of people, and I think we should always encourage people that a good 7 to 8 hours is good for you. Though you might feel that you function on 4 and you're fine, I don't believe in the long term that could be good for you. So I do say at least 7 to 8 hours. Some, for example, children are going to need longer. When you're sick, for example, you're going to need longer sleep. So it varies by, what you're going through. For example, women have a monthly cycle and they need more sleep at some parts in their cycle than others. So you have to, I guess, start listening to your body and listening to and taking cues from your body. And when you know that you're tired, take that, that first inkling of tiredness that you get in the evening. You might be finishing off some work. You feel that first one, take that cue. Say, you know what, this work can wait, because it usually can. There's always work to do. And take that, because that's usually your body's having the first kind of hit of melatonin. And if we respond to that, it's good. If we start ignoring that, when it comes to about 11 o'clock at night, your body has an increase in awake hormones. So it's kind of like that window passes, that perfect rest, and you start to feel yourself at 11 o'clock, you've got another burst of energy, you think, oh yeah, I'm good, but your body will never thank you for it. It's you kind of past that window. So start listening to your body. You definitely would find that you're resting more and you're definitely waking up from better sleep.
Do you have any tips on, you spoke about the mental load or the mental overload, maybe stress or your mind working overtime. Do you have any tips on somebody who suffers from that or who can't shut off, or they say they can't shut off, so the mind keeps going? Is there a way to turn it off?
Definitely. I mean, because I'm one of those people. I do have an overactive mind, especially sometimes when it comes to nighttime. I'm thinking about what I need to do tomorrow, what we're going to eat for the week. It's just, especially I think women suffer from it more than men, I think. I see a lot of patients in the clinic that have that mental load that they just can't shut off. And well, men too as well. I guess it's just a different mental load. I do think one of the things that helped me is giving, I know this sounds cliche, but giving my cares to God, going in, just finding a scripture and meditating upon it. Even though that can sometimes be hard because you're trying to meditate upon it, but your thoughts
you get distracted.
Yeah. So doing that, and also deep breathing exercises have really helped me, especially when I can't sleep at night. Doing that for a few minutes, you definitely you just wake up in the morning, you think, oh, I must have fallen asleep. But deep breathing, having a deep inhalation through your nose for about 4 seconds, holding it for about 7 seconds, and then breathing out slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds.
Okay.
Breathing in for 4, holding it for 7, and then breathing out for 8. And that actually signals a part of your body called the rest and digest nervous system to kick in, and that starts helping to feel calmer. It can immediately lower your blood pressure. It can immediately calm anxiety. It can help with a panic attack. But breathing that 4, 7, 8, if you are suffering from that busy mind and that anxious mind, doing that regularly throughout the day, and it's something that you can do wherever you are. If you're at the desk at work, you're walking, you can always deep breathe, and that will definitely help to shut your mind or to quiet your mind.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I want to switch to the water bit. You spoke about drinking filtered water. I know there is some concern over bottled water and plastic bottled water. Do you want to have a go at helping us to understand these various ideas that have been kicking about? Yes.
Yeah, sure. So I say filtered water because I know some people drink tap water. I wouldn't drink straight. I mean, if I'm dying of thirst and there's only tap water, I'm going to drink it. But as an ongoing long-term thing, there's so many things in tap water, and I'm concerned about a lot of the pesticides and the hormones in there. A lot of people are taking like hormone pills, and they go in they pee them out and they go into the water system, and there's so many things in the water that affect our bodies, especially women, but everybody really.
I have to stop you there. How do they enter the water system if you pee them out? You're making me wonder here.
So even though the water from our taps, they cleanse, like various chemicals, things like hormones actually stay in the water, and antibiotics and things like that. So I think there's lots of studies that show that in tap water, things like that are present, like hormones and antibiotics. Okay. So you might not be taking them yourself, but by drinking tap water, you are taking them in. Things like fluoride, things like that not beneficial for our bodies. So that's why I say definitely filtered water, and a good company that filters. A good company will be able to give you like a report of what their product filters. So you should be able to give you an updated report, I guess, year on year to show you that these are the things that it filters and there's evidence for it.
So there are different types of filtering, so maybe you could help us with the different types of filtering as you go.
I think there are a few. I'm not such an expert on them, but I did like do a bit of research a couple of years ago before we got our filter, and I've just got like a gravity filter. So you put water in the top, and it filters through I think the filters, they're ceramic. I think they're carbon filters. I might have to get more specifics about what it is, and I can share with the company. It's called Osmio, but it's really good. And they have a report that tells you exactly what it filters. And I like this one. I know there are some electrical filters as well that people can get and that you can plug into the wall, which are good as well. But I like the fact that this, even if you had no electricity, you can just get water and filter it, and you can still get fresh water. And I know sometimes you can get metal ones. This one's a glass one, so it's clear, and so there's no kind of I guess worry of it rusting inside. You can see what's happening. So I would definitely say look into, do a bit of research to see what will be best for you.
Okay.
I do like this gravity one. And before we had this, we were buying bottled water. And like you mentioned, plastics.
Yes.
Yeah, plastics have something called endocrine disruptors. So it actually disrupts the endocrine system, and your endocrine system in your body is how your body functions. If there's an imbalance or a problem with it, it's going to show up in some way, shape or form. So having these endocrine disruptors, they're in so many things. They're in things like perfumes, the water, but they're also in plastics. And if we can avoid having things with plastics, especially when the plastic gets warm, and even though you might buy your bottled water and it's cold, it's probably traveled through warmth and been near heat and been in sun, and it's already got so many of the plastic chemicals in the water itself. So I would avoid it. I'm not saying you can never drink a plastic, water bottle. You might be thirsty, you might be out somewhere. Drink the water. It's better to stay hydrated. Just on your ongoing habits, having good filtered water that's in either like a glass bottle or stainless steel or something that is not plastic is better.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you. And exercise. I know that you touched on, getting your heart rate up, making sure that you get some. There has always been, you need, 30 minutes a day for a week or something like that? Some kind of criteria that tells us how much exercise we must do per day. Would you want to comment on that to get people?
I think I'm trying to remember what the recommendation was. Well, I think it is like 30 minutes for like at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Something like that, yeah.
And I would say if you can do that, that's brilliant. I would always say start somewhere. If you don't do any exercise, start at least twice a week, maybe. And if you don't do any exercise and you're not fit, don't go and run a 5K. Build yourself up, build up the tolerance, make sure your heart rate increases and your breathing increases, and you might have a little bit of sweating. Just do something that is more than what you do currently.
Normally. Okay.
And work yourself up. If you start running and you can only run for 2 minutes, that's fine. Then work your way up. You start running for 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, if running is your thing. But whatever it is, just work your way up slowly. As long as your body's moving, that's the good thing. That's the important thing. And stretching as well. Stretching is really important.
Okay. All right. That's it for me.
Yeah. Okay. I was just going to quickly share this tea recipe. So allergies. Sorry. So my camera actually fell, but it's probably a good thing. But there's it's a little bit now, but I've got a mixture of herbs. I call it my allergy mix, and it's really good. It's a mixture of 5 herbs that help to improve your allergy symptoms. And the 5 herbs are chamomile, nettle, elderflower, eyebright, and plantain. So these 5 herbs together combined, they are anti-inflammatory. They actually help the mucous membranes. Your mucous membranes are like the inside skin of your nose and your mouth and your throat. They actually help to decrease the inflammation there. They help to decrease a lot of that mucus that's produced. So you know when you have allergies, you're sick, you have a lot of mucus production. They can actually help to reduce that. They actually can help to reduce histamine in the body, which is your body's, inflammatory mediator. So this blend of herbs, which is, we can probably put it in the description box of YouTube, and we will put it in the chat after. But
Yep.
it's nettle, elderflower, eyebright, and plantain.
Okay.
So you can make a tea from this. So how you would make the tea, you would just get like a teapot, or even a normal cup, and you can strain it after. But you would just pour the tea in here. I would make it strong. So if I would probably do about at least 3 heaped tablespoons to a liter of water. And you can do more if you like, but at least 3 heaped tablespoons. Then you would pop it in here. A bit of a funny teacup. Make the tea. So you pour hot water over the herbs and make sure it's covered, because you want to trap those good oils in the tea as well. And I would say let it sit for at least half an hour, because you want a good extraction of the medicinal properties from the herbs. So at least half an hour. Sometimes I like to, if you can and you don't mind cold tea, leave it overnight, because it's even better. Make it the night before. And you can start drinking this now, especially if you suffer from allergies. Start drinking it now, because now's the time that you want to get this goodness in your body. It as a daily tonic. Some people say to me they don't like drinking tea. So I tend to give them this drink recipe. So you make it as you would normally make it. You'd maybe the night before put the hot water, and I would add a little bit of local honey, because local honey can also be good for allergies, and just let it sit overnight. And then in the morning, I've got one that, like, here's one that I made earlier. It becomes a deep, rich drink. And then to make it like a kind of a iced tea, I call it hay fever iced tea. I've already added honey. I then add some lemon. So it's something that you could drink throughout the day. You could take it to work, you have it in your non-plastic bottles, and just make it taste nice. So if you don't like drinking tea, you could always make it into like this iced tea drink. You're still going to reap the benefits of it as long as you brew it hot. So long as you've made it as a hot drink, you can let it cool down. You can put it in the fridge overnight, and as long as it takes the medicinal properties from the herbs with the hot water. So I'm just putting some lemon slices in it. And then what I would normally do is squeeze some lemon into it as well. How much, it doesn't matter how much lemon, it just depends on your taste. It's just to kind of give it it's just kind of to zhuzh it up a little bit. But I would squeeze some lemon in there. And then you can just drink this like a drink you have at home, as part of your daily routine. And this recipe of herbs is tried and tested. Everyone that has allergies, they say it helps to clear it up, or it definitely improves their allergies a lot, whether it's drunken as a drink or a tea. But if you do suffer from allergies, start drinking that blend of herbs now, and drink it from throughout the spring and the summer, or whenever you suffer from the allergies, because you will definitely see a marked difference. So that was my little recipe that I shared with you. I hope that you can find use of it. But I definitely think that if you start taking it, I'm sure you'll come back to me and say, yeah, it was really helpful.
Okay, quick question then. It sounds as if you are assuming that we can either make the combination of herbs, or where do we get it? Can we purchase it, make it? I mean,
Yeah.
for a person like me, it's better that somebody just make it up for me.
Thanks for mentioning that. So I do sell this blend on my website, which I can give to you after. But you
Okay.
can make it yourself as well. You can just buy, especially if you're going to be drinking copious amounts, you might want to buy the herbs in bulk. So you can buy chamomile, nettle, elderflower, arrowroot, and plantain. And then what you're going to do is mix equal amounts of each herb. So it could be 1 cup of chamomile, then it's 1 cup of all of them. If it's a whole, 1 kilo of chamomile, that's going to be a kilo of all of them. But you mix them in equal parts.
Okay.
That's the easy, simple recipe. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. We got something through from YouTube. Lillian is asking or suggesting fungal sinusitis remedies, please. That's all.
Fungal sinusitis. So I would say it's a similar protocol because sinusitis, it's inflammation of the sinuses,
Yeah.
it's inflammation. So if you know the first bit about the health laws, definitely keeping all of those and maintaining those, you'll definitely see an improvement, 100%. This drink or this tea, you will definitely see some improvement too. Anything that's fungal, I would say we have to look at the gut. So remember I spoke about the gut bacteria? Already when we're keeping the health laws, when we're eating good, sleeping, resting, exercise, that all of those things help encourage good bacteria. But having things like probiotics, eating more bitter foods, eating less sugar, these are the things that are going to help to, I guess, encourage good bacteria to overcome those fungus. So any fungal thing that we're suffering from, whether it's ringworm or athlete's foot or any fungal things that show on the outside, usually the gut has to be addressed. And you can usually tell if you've got some digestive issues. Sometimes people might not notice they have digestive issues, but having things like probiotics, having more fermented foods, less sugar, more water, more a variety of fruits and veg and fiber. These are the things that are going to feed good bacteria in your gut and start to address those fungal issues from the inside out.
Thank you very much. Well, that's it from me today. I don't have any more questions. I don't see any questions filtering through except that particular one. Tell us about how can we, if we want to get in touch with you, get access to many of the services or products that you sell. If you would like to put your website details in the chat, then that would be quite useful. So ladies and gentlemen, there it is, sophiatheherbalist.com. If you want more information, please feel free to visit her online. All the W's, sophiatheherbalist.com, along with Wise Botanics.
Yeah,
And that's an S. Yes, wisebotanics.com. So it was really great having you with us. We look forward to having you again, and with your wealth of information and your ability and capacity to so effortlessly share in a simple way but profound. We thank you, and we want to suggest that we should maybe book you again for another episode.
Yeah, it'll be my pleasure. I'll be happy.
Okay. Can we ask you to pray us out? Would that be something that you could do?
Yeah, of course. Okay, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you so much for, firstly, the simple yet profound and effective remedies that you've given to us. This world is so full of disease and sickness and things that attack us from every side, Lord, but you haven't left us helpless. You haven't left us without a remedy. You haven't left us without solutions. So we thank you for these simple things. We thank you that you've given us the ability to do them and to fulfill them. And I thank you for the ability you've given us to speak to each other from various parts of the world, to come together on this technology and share these things and share in our human experiences. and what has helped us. I just pray that as we learn from you, that we would start to incorporate these things into our lives. I pray that we would help to educate those around us in simple ways, in effective and pleasant ways, Lord, that encourages those to also want to obey your health laws and to understand these natural laws that you've given unto us. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I just pray that you may be with each of us as we wind down for the evening, Lord. In your name we pray, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was another round of Your Journey Planner. You can again find this on YouTube for replay. Please share the links with friends and family and those who can benefit from. Again, we want to thank Sophia and ask God's blessing upon her business. Her website detail is in the chat, sophiatheherbalist.com. Also, wisebotanics with an s.com. Until next time, we want to love you and leave you, as we would say here in England, and wish you all the best.
Thank you again for watching the Journey Planner SDA. Remember to subscribe, like, and share the links to our YouTube and Facebook broadcasts. See you at the next episode.